let's check in with the listeners.
Hi, listeners.
Thank you.
He was the listener there.
Remember, you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like Thomas Wade in Conway, Arkansas did.
Greetings, Thomas.
He says, he writes to us about Dead Space. When the original Dead Space became backwards compatible for Xbox, I was overjoyed. I've always held this game close to my heart, but as I started a fresh playthrough, I was a little surprised at how well it still holds up after 8 years. The atmosphere is palpable, the monsters are genuinely terrifying, and the plot is intriguing. This got me thinking, does Isaac Clarke have another adventure in him? Is it time for a reboot, or has this series run its course? What do you guys think? The last Dead Space was Dead Space 3 in 2013?
Yeah.
Early 2013,
Yeah,
I want to say?
Either before or, no, it must have been.
It was
Before that.
It was early 2013.
They also did
Yeah.
like an iPad game that was a tie-in that was like
Yeah.
kind of similar to the first one. Yeah, it's so weird to to be into video games and follow a franchise so closely, and it just becomes part of your vernacular for a few years and then just completely vanishes.
Yeah.
Especially from a company like EA, like they seem like the kind of people that would hold on to something like that and take
How
care
many
of it.
Battlefields have there been?
Yeah, like I don't know.
But I mean,
very odd to
Visceral
me.
moved on to work on a Battlefield
Yeah.
game. You know,
And
that's
now
where
they're
the
working
town-
on Amy Hennig's Star Wars game,
Yeah.
which
So-
I feel like that's the reason EA was willing to give up a thing like Dead Space is because it's like, oh, well, we can focus on this instead,
Right.
which the game can be the worst game ever and it'll still sell millions of copies. It also won't be the worst game ever because
Yeah.
Amy Hennig's pretty good at making video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is Visceral.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that trilogy, and then there was an epilogue, DLC epilogue that came out for 3.
Awakening.
Awakening, yeah. And I feel like at least Isaac Clarke's story is done.
Well,
Yeah.
he is still alive. Spoilers. He is still alive at the end of Awakening.
Oh.
And it's a little, like, I don't think the whole situation is resolved.
Yeah.
They didn't like destroy all the necromorphs.
Yeah, yeah.
You could continue that story, but I wonder, like, he mentions a reboot. I don't
Yeah.
know, like, you could
Right.
do...
Yeah, a reboot or a spin-off. Extraction is my favorite Dead Space game. Yeah,
That's the Wii one?
That's the light gun shooter. Yeah, it's really good. It's a wonderful on rails light gun
don't even
shooter.
remember that. That was on
you
Wii?
should,
It was on
yeah, it was
Wii,
on
yeah.
Wii. Yeah, you should play this.
Totally
it's,
don't remember it.
It's a great like 3-hour like couch co-op
Oh, yeah,
experience.
yeah, I remember
it's
this
really
game.
good.
Yeah.
And
They
it's
were
a
doing
lot
that
of
for
fun.
the Wii. They did that House of the Dead Overkill.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That was like a Grindhouse movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, where like the American flag would fly up and go Gorgasm, like
Yep.
when that
That's what I do at the end of sex.
Yeah, there were like 7 F-bombs before
You have an
even
American
hit
flag that's
start.
right next to the bed.
Gorgasm.
Is that when dragonflies do it, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's
Well,
just called Gorgasm.
Yeah, it's called Gorgasm.
so that off those rails. Yeah, why not? It's a
So I loved the original Dead Space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
And I liked Dead Space 2, but not as much because they were like moving the series into more of an action game instead of a survival horror game. And then Dead Space 3 is like more of just a third-person shooter, like a Lost Planet game.
Yep.
Yeah, it was even felt like a lot because you're in the middle of this snowy place. And yeah, I thought Dead Space 3 looked kind of boring. And I agree, like 1 is incredible. And I think 2 walked a pretty good balance between action and horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see it go back to, because I mean, survival horror is bigger now than ever, like with Let's Plays and everything, with stuff like
Yeah,
Outlast and the Paranormal Activity VR thing we played. So I would love to see what this a next-gen take on a sort of simplified, spooky Dead Space would be.
I totally agree. I'd play that in a heartbeat.
Five Nights at Freddy's crossover. That's
No,
what you
don't say that. Don't
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah, got all the space
Take it
aliens
back.
pop out, little Muppets.
So if they were going to make a new Dead Space game, Visceral is busy working on a Star Wars game. I presume their whole team is dedicated to that. They don't have another team that can work on
Yeah.
Dead Space. Who should EA assign Dead Space to?
Oh wow, great question.
I have the answer.
Yep.
PopCap.
Yeah.
If you want to make money, yeah.
PopCap got together originally because they wanted to make like a quote real video game, and they just made other stuff to fill in the gap, and they never stopped because
Yeah.
they were making tons of money. And,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, I was looking at EA's roster of studios, and there didn't really seem to be a good fit. They've got studios that do like RTS stuff and sports games, but no one that does like third-person like adventure.
Yeah,
gaming.
DICE doesn't really touch that.
Yeah, they're doing like multiplayer focused.
Yeah, Visceral was sort of a singular studio.
Visceral was like the one to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they own the Jade Raymond studio, Motive, which
Yeah.
we don't know what their game is. It's
They're
probably
supposedly
something
working on
Assassin's
something
Creed-ish.
new, right? Like a
Yeah,
new
I imagine
IP.
there's something. It's going to be like Assassin's Creed in terms
Yeah.
of like EA doesn't really have a big open world,
Yeah.
Ubisoft-esque game.
How about farming it out to From?
Man, that'd be
From
something.
Software.
Yeah.
What are they up to these days?
after Dark Souls 3, nothing. No one's
Bloodborne 2.
I mean,
probably Bloodborne 2.
yeah, there'd be some weird jankiness to it, but I kind of like the idea of like From's take on a Dead Space universe. think
Yeah,
it
I would
be
love
fun.
to see.
That's actually really smart.
Yeah, and they From Software did the Armored Core series
Exactly.
before Dark Souls, so they at least know
that could be cool.
Yeah,
metal.
that's kind of where my mind was going. It's like the convergence of
Yeah,
those two things.
man, those things are scary looking. I don't like
What's
them.
that? Oh, those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's From Software can handle that.
Yeah,
Those are tame compared to
yeah.
some of the
Arms
stuff
coming
in
out of
Yeah,
places where arms shouldn't
exactly.
come out. Yeah.
Dead Souls, Dark Space, Blood
Dead Souls.
Space.
Well, it doesn't have, but I don't want it
Don't
to
say
be.
Blood Space.
I don't want it to be a Dark Souls game. I want it to be a Dead Space game,
Yeah.
just with that nice little touch they could give it. I don't want it to be like a Souls game and everything. But
Sorry,
Yeah.
we already invented Deadborn and they're making it, so you're gonna have to sit back for a few years.
And I mean, like the Japanese know horror. I mean, from Resident Evil to
Yeah.
Silent Hill to
The Ring,
The Ring,
kind of good at
The
that.
Grudge.
Ringu,
Ringu, yes.
the Crutch.
Ragu.
Did you guys total tangent? But did you guys see they made the Grudge versus the Ring movie?
Yeah, in Japan.
What?
Yeah.
Was it
Really?
just like
Yeah, and
a
they,
little
like,
Ghost
they fight
Boy
each
versus
other?
Ghost Girl?
I guess it's like I don't know if the
It's like Freddy versus Jason.
like
I
they
guess,
make
yeah.
the Grudge watch the Ring.
They're just on a
I don't know how
teeter-totter
that works.
hissing at each other for 2 hours, just back and forth.
People sitting in the middle screaming.
Who can kill the most horses?
Yeah, I love how it's like, well, that's ridiculous. Anyway, here's the fourth Freddy vs. Jason movie.
Yeah.
Alien vs. Predator 3. Like, yeah.
I kind of like
Batman
Freddy versus
versus
Jason.
Superman.
I
Yeah.
thought Freddy versus Jason was cute. I like that movie.
Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cute. That's what they were going for.
Yep.
That was a box quote. Cute, Jared Petty.
Do you like it, Damon? You're
No, I didn't like it.
Of course not.